Next up on an all-new Rick and Rick.
Spider-Man gets tossed out of the MCU.
Are you a cyber-stalker? Of course you are.
Why YouTube says robots deserve animal rights.
Wow. Plus, loaded questions, the summer box office edition, and a whole lot more.
And it all starts right here, right now.
On the one show where everybody knows a Rick or two.
And everybody rules the world.
Welcome to Rick and Rick Rule the World. I'm Rick Matheson, and joining me as always is Watashi no Yujin, Rick Wooten. It's a little Japanese there for you, Rick. It either means my friend or washing away your onions. I'm not totally sure there. But, how you doing?
I'm good, man.
Good.
I'm good. You know, we're getting towards the end of the summer. The days are starting to cool off a little bit. I'm kind of enjoying that.
I got to tell you, my daughter is a cheerleader, and they had their first football game Friday night, and I swear I had not been to a high school football game since I was in high school, like 10 whole years ago. And as you know, where we live, there's lots of microclimates, so folks, listeners may not understand, but where we live, it could be, 100 degrees in one area and 60 degrees, 15 minutes away. And this first game was in this town that was maybe 30 minutes away, and it was freezing, blasting wind. It felt like it was about 57 degrees, which of course means I was wearing a short sleeve polo shirt, shorts, and sandals.
Well, how that happens. So my yesterday was spent, what is that movie? Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I missed the train, but I spent the day in a car and a plane. I drove from Northern California all the way down to San Diego, take my son to college, got him all set up. And by the end of the day, I was back on a plane flying back to Northern California. So I got to experience it was actually fairly cool when I left Northern California. I think it was in the low to mid 60s. By the time I got through Central Valley and down through LA, LA was like 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Got down to San Diego and it was a beautiful 77, but
Nice.
Also, 70 or 80% humidity. And then flew back up just in time to catch the cool weather again in the evening.
So, yeah.
It was like 12. A 13, 14-hour day.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we have an awesome show here for you folks, so thank you for tuning in, and let's get cranking here. So first up, you sent over this thing, Spider-Man's future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe appears to be in doubt. What's that all about?
Yeah. We've talked about this kind of stuff before where, in the past, Marvel wasn't doing great, so they licensed out some of their properties, some of their characters. We saw that with the Fantastic Four. We saw that with Spider-Man, several others. And so Spider-Man's kind of the big holdout. I mean, that's the one that, everybody would like to see it back in the MCU. We've seen a couple of crossovers, seen him appear in the last two Avengers movies, but he's still really owned by Sony. And so Disney and Sony have been at the table trying to figure out how they could, keep Spider-Man in the MCU, particularly in this next phase. But apparently they're not coming to a deal. And so speculation is right now that Spider-Man will not be a material part at all of the go forward MCU plan because they can't reach a deal, which, has some pretty big implications.
Yeah, that is such a bummer. I hope they can work out. Do you think this is really just posturing in their negotiations, or do you think, Spidey, our favorite web slinger, just got kicked in back to the Spideyverse?
Normally I would probably assume it was posturing, but if you think back, I mean, this is not a new thing. And in fact, Spider-Man has been absent for most of the MCU. And so I do believe that this could be a legit thing. I mean, they could be back to the same place they were a couple years ago where he's not going to be included in anything.
Please, Disney, Sony, get your act together.
Right. I mean, it's kind of like, having a DCU, but then you remove somebody like the Flash, right? You pull them out and, you can still kind of make it work and all that, but, it's still one of the beloved characters. It's one that everybody wants to see in there. So, I'm personally hoping that they work something out. But, it from everything that I've read, it comes down to, no surprise, money, right?
Yeah.
And, they're talking about the financing versus who gets paid what.
Yeah. Well, I think we texted back and forth this past week was the news that that Spider-Man Far From Home was Sony's biggest moneymaker of the year. So, they're going to keep cranking those out. My understanding is they have to make a Spider-Man movie within X number of years or it reverts back to Marvel. So they're going to be cranking them out whether they're part of the MCU or not. So, but, what's especially a bummer is because we've moved out of this first year, whatever phase we're in, phase 4, a lot of the familiar faces are going away, and we've had Peter Parker / Spider-Man in the MCU the last, 3 or 4 movies. And so he provided a little bit of that continuity moving forward. And now that's in question.
Yeah. And the trippy thing about all this is the internet has absolutely blown up over this. Have you noticed this?
Yeah.
There's just dozens and dozens of memes that are running around. I forget what's that YouTube series, something like Pitch Videos or something like that. They did a cover of this. Anyways, it's just been one thing after another. And in fact, we've talked about our listener Eric. Eric's been sending these to me every couple of days. I mean, just a constant flow of people making fun of the Sunny Disney situation with Spider-Man.
Wow. Well, hopefully it gets resolved. Next up, you sent this thing over about cyber-stalkers. And in this article, I think it was PC Magazine, was saying that we all kind of go check out folks before we go out, on a date with them. We go online and find out who they are, which I guess probably makes a lot of sense. Then the stalking dives off as the relationship is going until they break up. Then what happens?
Yeah. This is kind of funny because the real genesis of this article was about the fact that what we're doing is really stalking, but it's become so normalized that nobody really perceives it that way.
Right.
And the article was saying that basically how far the respondents look back in months, whatever, So basically they've got this chart, and they talk about the fact that 31% of men and 41% of women admit that they are a cyber stalker. So it's not just that a large percentage of us aren't really seeing it. A large percentage of us are seeing it, but even more than that are actually doing that.
Yeah.
And to your point, it's particularly true, before you go out with somebody, or even if you're going to go do a job interview, right? You stalk them, you look them up on LinkedIn, Facebook if you can find them, Twitter. I mean, almost every time when somebody comes in and interviews, it's like, hey, I saw that you posted this or posted that, and and they try and work it into the conversation. And so basically, the article is suggesting that stalking has actually become normalized and a part of what's acceptable now, as opposed to something that wasn't years ago.
Crazy. What else is crazy is videos on YouTube can spread hate speech and foster political extremism, but they better not show 2 robots fighting. Is this for real?
That's right. From everything I could tell, it is. I mean, this was an article from about 4 days ago, and somebody had posted all these videos of robots fighting. Right? You see these at Make Your Fairs. You see these at different types of events. I mean, there's even a TV series around this, right? With the robots fighting. But apparently, this person had a bunch of their videos taken down, and the answer that they got back from YouTube was animal cruelty was the rationale behind removing it. And they show a video in this article, which are just very, very clearly robots with treaded mobility and stuff like that, almost like little tanks, but yet that was removed for animal cruelty. And I just think I just thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is a corner case or something like that, but I certainly got a kick out of it.
Yeah, it's got to be a mistake of some kind. The algorithm anthropomorphizes electronic creatures, thinking that they're for real. Crazy.
I bet you that's what it is. I bet you it's just they have a system that tries to find animal cruelty, and because of the shape of the robots and this and that, maybe their movements or what have you, it actually just misclassified them.
Yeah.
Which hey, kudos for them for putting in the effort to try and totally. Just kind of sometimes you get a funny byproduct of that, and I think that's what we have here.
Great. Well, we do have to go to our first break, folks. When we come back, it is time for the good, the bad, and the marketing. So see you on the other side. Hey, Rick and Rick Nation, don't forget to check out our website at rickandrick.com. It's double the Rick in just one click at rickandrick.com. All right, we are back. Rick and Rick Rule the World. This is Rick Matheson with Rick Wooten. It is time for the good, the bad, and the marketing. And Rick, I had kind of been expecting something like this, and I'm so glad that Ad Age did it. They did a story the other day about what really went on at the Taco Bell Hotel. This was one of those experiential things that Taco Bell had put together. They took over the V Palm Springs, and reservations to this sort of branded hotel sold out in 2 minutes. Now, it was only for 4 days. It was in Palm Springs, and it's August, so it's 110 degrees. So, I can see why the V might say, yeah, sure, you guys can, do a takeover and do your branded thing here. But this reporter, Jessica Wall, she gives us a lowdown on what it was all about, and this kind of cracked me up. She writes, I wasn't there for a bachelorette party or walking in with a case of White Claw or wearing a hot sauce packet tank top that showed off a pregnant belly or celebrating a 5th wedding anniversary. I wasn't getting engaged at the Bell, a Taco Bell hotel and resort. And yes, all of those things and more happened throughout the weekend. So super fans from all over. I don't know how many rooms the place was, but it obviously was sold out, and it was like a geek fest for Taco Bell freaks.
That's awesome.
And as I had hoped, Rick, they did serve free Bob Blast. And then she says of the fans and guests, there was one guest wearing a yellow shirt with a retro Taco Bell logo on it. He took his fandom to a new level a year ago when he started making 1-minute videos singing about the items on Taco Bell receipts that people DM'd him on Instagram. She said that there, the dong, the dong sound, sort of audio branding that Taco Bell does. Well, if you heard that, then it was sort of this Pavlovian signal that complimentary foods and beverages are on their way to the pool area. But anyway, I'm glad everyone had a good time. So
I think this could have been fun. I wouldn't mind trying it out and just, because they probably went the extra mile and made it as nice as possible just for the. Anyways, I would have done it. I think it would have been fun. I don't think I would have gone as far as shaving the Taco Bell symbol on the back of my head like one person did. Yes. But outside of that, I think it would have been a blast to go to.
Next up, you sent over this thing about this 5-ton epic Holo-sphere. I want one of these in my Rick cave. So tell us about this Holo-sphere.
So there's this artist, Eric Prides, and he's been working on this basically light shows / concert DJ kind of thing, and I guess it took him like 2 years. He spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it is absolutely amazing. And in fact, you and I talk about VR, AR all the time, and what we're really talking about is the ability to experience things in a 3D kind of format. And unfortunately, right now you have to largely do that with some sort of a headset or whatever. But he built this ginormous screen. I mean, it's bigger than an airplane is how they described it. That and this is all in Tomorrowland at Disney. And so like the whole thing is almost like that projection 3D mapping is going on right there in front of you. And the jewel, the crown jewel of this whole thing is this 15-ton sphere. I think that's what. No, it's a 5-ton sphere. Yeah. So it's a 5-ton holosphere that has LEDs all the way around it, and so it basically becomes a 3-dimensional a screen, and the things move around it, and it's actually transparent. So when all the lights aren't on, you can actually see through it to what's on the backside. But then if when everything is lit up and they're doing video on it, then you can't see through it. I mean, it's just incredible. Yeah. And I think you're only going to be able to see the performance a handful of times. I think I read somewhere 5, but maybe less. But it's probably one of the most impressive things you've ever seen. Did you get a chance to watch the video?
I did. It really was spectacular. And I think either it was in the video or I read it that he's actually performing inside that Holo-sphere. He's inside of it.
Right.
So yeah, I think this is really, really. When it first started the video, I was like, okay, that's nice, but no, it is spectacular.
Yeah, and so they have this by the numbers section in this article. This article, by the way, is from The Verge. And so the Holo-sphere is 8 meters wide. There's 72 panels. There's 2.4 million LEDs. There's 223 different lengths of LED strips, 300 square meters of LED panels. There's 17,800 LED strips. Anyways, it just goes on and on. 5 tons, 150 individual laser diodes, because this thing is filled with lasers as well, and 545 lighting fixtures, all in this orb. It is absolutely fantastic.
Awesome. Now I do officially take it back. I don't want one of these in the Rick Cave, just because I don't want the electric bill from this thing. Okay, well, we have to go to our second break, folks. When we come back, it is time for loaded questions, so stay tuned. All right, we are back, and you know what, Rick? It is time for our second annual Loaded Questions Summer Box Office Edition. Though the season seems to stretch back to March, I guess, this year, it technically runs between Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend, and just like last year, we're recording this episode heading into that final weekend of summer. Rick Wooten, are you ready for some loaded questions?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, question 1. Which of the following did not make the list of the top 10 movies of summer 2019? A. Dark Phoenix. B. Disney's The Lion King. C. Spider-Man Far From Home. Or D. Godzilla King of the Monsters. Which of these is not in the top 10 movies of summer 2019?
I'm going to go with The Lion King.
Oh, you were so close. So according to Box Office Mojo, Fox's X-Men sequel, Dark Phoenix, falls short of the top 10. It ranked number 15 in at least domestic grosses for the summer 2019 movie-going season. Question 2. Out of the top 100 summer movies this year, which of the following ranked dead last at number 100? A. Sword of Trust. B. The Dead Don't Die. C. Between Me and My Mind. Or D. Kinky Boots the Musical. Which of these was dead last in the top 100 movies of summer 2019?
I have no idea, so let's go with Kinky Boots.
Oh, no. The answer is A. According to Box Office Mojo, Sword of Trust from IFC Films, I guess that's Independent Film Channel, it made $245,347. That's the domestic box office. All right, question number 3. Which of the following movies of summer 2019 rates the best score on Rotten Tomatoes? A. Kinky Boots the Musical. B. Men in Black International. C. Angry Birds. D. The Dead Don't Die. Or E. What We Left Behind. Looking back at Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Which of these got the highest score, the best score on Rotten Tomatoes?
Well, let's go with Star Trek. Let's go with What We Left Behind.
You are correct. So according to Rotten Tomatoes, the answer is What We Left Behind, Looking Back at Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It's a documentary that celebrates the 25th anniversary of the self-proclaimed black sheep of the Star Trek spin-off series. I didn't know that part. But get this, it has a 100% fresh rating.
Wow.
Now here's a bonus question. Looking back at our summer wrap-up show in season 1, so 1 year ago, on Rick and Rick Rule the World, a certain August release called The Meg did well enough to hit number 9 for the whole summer. Question: which summer 2019 movie seems to have been trying to capitalize on that same dynamic? A. Kinky Boots the Musical. B. Angel Has Fallen. C. 47 Meters Down. D. The Dead Don't Die. Or E. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
I'm going to guess 47 Meters Down.
You are correct. So 47 Meters Down, Uncaged. Rotten Tomatoes describes the movie as thus: 47 Meters Down, Uncaged follows the diving adventures of 4 teenage girls exploring a submerged Mayan city. Once inside, their rush of excitement turns into a jolt of terror as they discover the sunken ruins are a hunting ground for deadly great white sharks. With their air supply steadily dwindling, the friends must navigate the underwater labyrinth of claustrophobic caves and eerie tunnels in search of a way out of their watery hell. Sylvester Stallone's daughter is in this. It is getting a 50% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, but I saw a couple scenes from this and it does look pretty cool. If I got a chance to see it before it's gone, I don't know. It looks like a fun movie.
Right on. I'll check it out.
All right. Well, look at the time here, folks. We got to be like jelly and jam. Thank you, Rick Wooten, and thank you all for tuning in. Check us out at rickandrick.com, where you get double the Rick with just one click, and be sure to join us next time for the one show where everybody knows your name. That's not right. Where everybody's name is Rick and everybody rules the world.
Thanks so much, everyone.